Hey Gemini, happy Lunar New Year. I'm recording this on New Year's Day. It is a new moon. It's the new lunar cycle. So I felt this was a really good time to start and begin doing my readings again. This is for the 1st of February to the 9th of February. As I'm just starting, we're going to do it for the 9 days to get us into the cycle of doing it weekly. So let me start shuffling for you guys. So I'm using the moon god, the Queen of the Moon Oracle. I think that I called it the Moon Goddess deck in my other two readings that I've recorded so far. As I sat down just now, I was just like, oh, it's not called that. So there you go. And I'm also using the Moonology Oracle as well as a supporting deck. So almost done, and we can jump straight in. Okay guys, so the first card kind of represents the energy of where you are right now as we jump into this new lunar cycle. It is self-reflection, so that makes sense. The energy that I'm getting this year so far is that we're all in that new year kind of vibe, right? We're all self-reflecting. For you guys, feels quite strong. I feel as though there's a lot of emotions impacting you right now, and actually I feel like potentially you're realizing in terms of relationships and connections, I feel like there's a disconnect with how people see you and view you. And I think it's because you have been a little bit, and this is just what's coming through like this, so hopefully you'll be able to interpret to your own personal, but it's like you've been a little bit, kind of different, you putting out one thing and then putting out another. And I know that this can be like a natural Gemini energy, and it's what makes you guys such interesting people, because you can one minute you're lovely and you're in that feminine vibe, the next minute you're more in your masculine vibe, and you're just like, you know what, I'm not taking anything, like what. And I think for some people that can be interpreted wrongly. It can be seen like the typical stereotype of Gemini of being two-faced, right? And I feel like that has impacted you in your relationships more specifically this last year. And maybe not even relationships. I think more just how maybe outside people have interpreted you. And I think that this has caused an internal kind of insecurity for you guys, because I'm getting a lot of emotional kind of emotions from this, of you. It's just self-reflecting, and I think it's a really good thing. Now this is not just that one way. That is just a way that some of you may be feeling. This is very much self-reflection of what do you want, where do you want to be, and that's generally what this card does sort of say. It comes up to say it's time for us to take a look in the mirror and think about, am I where I am? Where am I where I want to be? Of course we are of course you are you, and you are where you are, but am I where I want to be? Sorry. And if not, what can I do to change? And I feel like you are really focusing on what you need to do. Now I realize you don't need to change anything about yourself, but often in our lives there's things about how we are interacting with the world that we need to change. Are you spending more time focusing on one thing and not on something that's going to help be productive towards where you actually want to be? Are you too busy doing something for somebody else and not really taking care of your own personal needs? So that's not going to get you towards your goals. If you want family, if you want finances, if you want a new career, if you're too busy making sure other people, like partners, children, other dependents, or just friends, if you're too busy doing things for other people, which I feel like can be something you take on quite a lot, because I think that you have this natural ability, and also in a way, and I don't want you to take offense to this, but in a way I feel like you naturally just think that you can take it on, all of it, everything. I think this is an air quality, and I feel like that air quality in there is there for you, Gemini, like working against you in that, because you are taking on things that you just don't need to. So it's self-reflecting and thinking on, is that true for you, and how can you implement changes that make it so that you're not putting other things before your own goals, your own self, or even your own everyday needs. Actually, I would go as far as to say that. And I think that that's where I'm interpreting a lot of emotion here, because I think that it's like taking on so much that it's like this raw feeling, and I think for some of you it may be to such an extent that you really don't know how you're feeling about anything, because it's just too much of everything. So yeah, self-reflection time. Next is beauty, and I do love this card. It is in reverse, so I do, again, moving on from what we were just saying and extending that, it's seeing your beauty and your world. So when you are taking on a lot of things from other people, that's a beauty. That's a beautiful thing. You are being nurturing, you're providing, you are being protective, you're doing things for people. That's a really great way to be. I can't think, there's like a word in my brain and it won't come out. It's a really great way to be, and it's beautiful, and I want you to actively look in this mirror and self-reflect and see the beauty in that and the beauty that is you. It's not a negative, and this is very much shadow work. A lot of times when people think about shadow work and think it's facing the bad things in themselves, it is, but it's not, because it's what you perceive as bad. It's not actually something that is bad. So, for example, some people perceive somebody being very hardworking as a negative, in the sense of they're so hardworking that their priorities is just work, right? That can be viewed as a negative. And in full amplification, yeah, it can be. But it's not, in its essence. It's actually a good quality to have, to be hardworking, because it means you get things done, that you're willing to put in the work to do something, right? So it's actually not a negative. That's just me using a quality to show you how it can be viewed in both ways. And I feel like that's something to nurture within yourself. I feel like potentially you do that for other people. You will look at things and see the beauty in who they are and why they are that way. And I think that sometimes you might feel like other people won't do that in the same way for you, potentially because maybe they are a bit confused on what your place is, on who you are as a person, because they're not understanding that you are all of that. Because I think that many people are one-dimensional in knowing who they are and what they want, and I think that Gemini, and it's supposed to be ingrained into you to be fluid and flexible, and so you are not just one thing, and that's beautiful. Like, that's amazing. That's like more than some people can be, right? And it's embracing that and loving that within that, and seeing the things that you might view as a negative. I feel like I want you to actually look at it more objectively, if you're capable of doing that, and seeing the beauty there with that. I do want to show you a card because it's so pretty. And I think, as well as I just did that, I kind of think that sometimes other people can't see this, and I think that there's a potential for some of you not to be able to see this for yourself, because it is such a natural essence, so just there, that it can be, you know how you get people, I can't think of the word, what it's called, but where you're blind to your surroundings. It's like you live in your bedroom, so and it gets messy, but because it's just an organized chaos, to you it's not. But then when you put your visitor eyes on, because, oh no, someone's coming around and they might be coming into your bedroom, and you look at your room from a new lens, you're like, oh my god, my room's so messy, like I don't want other people to see I live like this. It's that kind of blindness in your own self. It's like, because it is just who you are, you may not necessarily witness it in a way that it needs to be witnessed. Now the next card is Abundance. Awesome card. To me, this is how it's happening. Everybody's kind of getting that you've got these two cards, and then your third one is Abundance. I think that this card in this position has either been here or just below it, and it's saying basically the key to your abundance is within yourself, by doing things that again are in alignment with you to get you to where you're going to be. So I want you to remember that. Realize that the things that you might view as more on the negative side of yourself, again, are a part of you, and to hold it close to your chest. You do not need to be showing the world these things. This is a very personal development thing, I feel like, and the abundance is you becoming a whole and appreciating the all that you are. But there are people around you that support you, and I feel like this is a really great time actually for you in terms of relationships and connecting with people, because I feel with this self-reflection, it is, I really feel for you, Gemini, that it is kind of really around communities and friendships, and again how you interact with other people, and I get this sense of how you've interacted with people before has been quite rigid, and that's the disconnect, but again I feel like you are shaping and changing, acknowledging to be able to change it to your own specific. Remember, this is a collective Gemini reading, so some people may be a little bit too professional, some people might be a little bit too casual. It's bringing that balance. They're just two extremes, but your own twist needs to be on this. It's your reading. But again, you have so many people around you wanting to support you, and I feel like there's this anxiety from others that they have gotten from it. This is more for an insight for you to interpret how you need to, but I feel like potentially the disconnect is the anxiety of a person not really knowing how to approach or how to respond or how to speak to you, and so they're just being apprehensive, like a deer that might look in and then step back into the bush, fearing that it's too dangerous to walk out. That's kind of this kind of thing. So take that as you will. Hopefully that can help you understand that a little bit better for yourself. Next, we have new beginnings. So to me, for other readings that I have done so far, I think you're my third reading, it's been more at the beginning. I feel like the self-reflection is leading you towards this new beginning. So I do think that this is a time where you are taking a step back and not necessarily jumping into actioning so much, but is saying that new beginnings are leading towards the end of this week. We will be seeing that you are taking strides to change things in your day-to-day life, is what I would say, and potentially lifestyle. That popped into my head just now, that maybe lifestyle is something for you to look at, but I do feel like that you are kind of on this kind of gray area. This is not how I've interpreted it when I read this today, but it's how it's interpreted to me. The outside is grey, and I feel like you are in this grey area, and I just feel like there's a lot of not knowing, not understanding, and I do think that it comes from you just being busy with other things and not your own personal stuff. So I feel like, again, you're in this grey because there's things that you need to know and discover and reflect upon. So it is a reflecting time, and again, reflecting is an action. This is you taking action, but it's not you actively moving forward. It's you literally being present, being current in this moment and seeing things, because you have new beginnings that are so green and so bright and vibrant. But again, to step through the door, you have to walk past these things. And boundaries. Definitely need to be assessing your boundaries. It's not in reverse. If this was in reverse, I would say that it's a problem for you. I don't think it's a problem for you as such, but I think the fact that you are taking on so much, this is something to be putting in boundaries to ensure that your needs are met first. And I do think met first, other than children and pets, like, dependents that can't take care of themselves, we do need to put them before ourselves. That's a given, but not all the time. There's a time when it's safe for you to take care of yourself in those situations. But to me, this is saying if someone else is a grown-ass adult, they can do it. They can help themselves. They can make themselves lunch. They can make themselves dinner. If you're home late from work and they are too, why are you the one that's been left to wait to make it? That's an example of what I mean, is that if they are highly capable, your boundaries are that, no, I'm not going to be the one that's doing everything for you all the time, because you can do it for yourself. And I think that we need more of that in the world, because so much in communities where we have couples or we have families that live together, everyone always puts so much on one person doing everything, because you know what, they just do it, because asking you or asking somebody else to do something, it's like, why? That's like another thing to put on a list. We're not lists, we're people, we're individuals. I definitely implement that in my own life. Like I always put my own self, well, I always used to, because this is not who I am anymore. I always put my own self down on the list, and it got to a point in my life where it mentally exhausted me, and I was just so run down, had burnout and things, because again, I didn't have those boundaries in place. So I didn't realize that I needed to have those boundaries, because I thought that, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. And then I realized that I'm the only one, like, people are not doing them things for me, or don't expect to do those for me, or they are highly capable but they're not doing them. Like, why are you feeling like you're not taken care of because someone's not cooking your dinner when you can cook dinner for yourself? Like, those type of questions come up, and I realize that boundaries wise, we are all equally human. No, like, yes, we do have our own strengths and our own joys, and some people, like, for example, some people really love to cook, and it's the way that they show love and express love. They are not going to want other people cooking for them as such, because that's how they express love. It's not how they receive love, right? And it's about love language in those respects. But if we're talking about individual basis, it's like, everybody is not like that. Not everyone cooks for someone to show love, and that's where we drilled it in, like, oh, women love to cook for their families because it shows their children, shows their families that they love them. No, You feel loved when someone cooks for you, so that's how you've interpreted that you want a woman to love you. So you've interpreted that if they cook for you, they must love you, and that's how they show you love them. But that's not individual basis. Sometimes it's literally duty, and it's literally destroying a person, doing it day in and day out because they don't enjoy it. It's not how they show love. It's literally something that they feel is they have to do. It's slave labor, and it's not fair for you to do that upon a person because of your expectations. This is boundaries. This is not me drilling you. This is me sort of explaining where we get so wrong in these boundaries, because society has drilled in what we are is expected of us and the why. But that's not who you are as an individual. And we need to be taking care of the individual, right, in this life. And this is what I think for you, Gemini, is to be seeing, do I have boundaries in place? That means that I'm not taking over the responsibilities of another person when I have responsibilities of myself. Someone who's capable, someone who can, just doesn't. And maybe they need to learn the tools, and they need to get the tools because they've not done it before. Then that's perfectly fine. But why is it taken upon you to take over it and do it for them if they haven't got the tools yet? You can nurture them if you wish to, if that's what you feel is something that you're comfortable within your boundaries to do, is to help to teach them. But doing it for them is not teaching. It's taking on someone else's responsibilities that are not yours, right? So remember, boundaries. Discernment. Now I feel like this can make you feel very anxious. I feel like a lot of the energy at the moment, because again it is about working with the self, I do feel like it's just how it's coming to me. It's like just spending too much time thinking of, I would even go as far as saying thinking of like a topic, like a specific area. Your focus has just been so much within that has consumed the most attention. Something. I hope that makes sense to you, Gemini. Now this to me is causing you kind of blindness to where you're going, what you want. It's not achieving what you want because again you're stuck in whatever the focus is. Now realize that you do not need to focus on something that is not going to be best for your health and your growth. So remember that. And that you do need to kind of look up to realize that what in front of you, I want to say, and this is going to be really cryptic, and I don't know whether this is going to be interpreted well, because I feel like you need to look at the storm. I think that maybe there's something that you specifically are avoiding or not viewing it, not seeing it for how it is. And maybe you have rose-colored glasses on and something has influenced how you're looking at something, but how you're looking at something is wrong. And I feel like maybe it could even be that you've made it into a storm in your mind. Like this is a chaos, has no order. And so that's what you've kind of branded it and prophesized that that's what this is. And it's actually not. It's not as bad as you think it is, or it's just not. I feel like it's actually the opposite to what you think it is. And so this to me is actually distracting. It's taking you away from where you need to be at your life right now. It's taking you away from the focus of your growth, of your personal reflection and where you need to be. So that's something to think on, Gemini. Please comment below if you would like to expand on that for me, because I'm kind of interested in that energy and how that interprets for you. Action is next. Definitely is your time to dance your own rhythm. It is time for you to take control of, and I want to say your life. And I feel like you have so much to show and offer. And I think that what you've been putting out into the world, I'm going to say last year, being kind of a large area of time, but just like last year, what you're putting out in the world, I feel like doesn't reflect who you are as a person. And I think that you got into a space, this is how it's coming through to me, it's like you got into a space where you were feeling more that you knew who you was and what you wanted to put out in the world, and it was a more feminine, gentle version of yourself. And I feel like you got sidetracked by, again, something distracting you, something blinding you, something in life that just happened. And it happens all the time. It's cycles, right? So this is not something to be ashamed of, not something to feel burdened by, something to just witness. And now is your time to again get back into the rhythm of who you want to be, because we can be whoever we want to be. And again, knowing that we have the choice of how we interact with the world and how we shape our lives, and that does change energy. We manifest what we desire, and we also manifest what we don't desire, because again, If we are too focused on things that is not our focus, it's going to take us away from what we are trying to create in this world, in our little lifetime, right? So it's your time to dance. This feels really good. Now, I know earlier I said it's not a time for action, but we are past the new beginnings part. So it's kind of like self-reflecting. Is you taking action? But also, to me, this is now the dance and the movement. To me, I feel like this is a very delicate action for you of just, and I keep coming back to this feminine feel of you. And again, when we get into our full feminine, we feel secure, we feel happy, whether it's our surroundings, whether it's the people that we have in our bed, people that we spend time with every day, our workplace. These all can make us feel comfortable and secure when they're right for us, right? When they're not, we end up being in chaos and we come more in our masculine because we're protecting ourselves. I've definitely been in that space, and I would say I'm trying to balance them out for myself as well, of feeling like I have to protect myself because nobody else will, and I don't want anyone else to. Like, that's not healthy. That's the burdening of someone else, right? But we get into this self-protecting phase where we be full masculine and you're kind of more aggressive in the world, and can be viewed as more harsher. And I feel like this is you wanting to be in this secure. So how do we get in the feminine? How do we get into this feeling we can dance the rhythm of ourselves, because we want our masculine and feminine to be balanced. We don't want to be too feminine and we don't want to be too masculine, because we don't want to be, for example, a pushover, too caring, taking on too many responsibilities, which is the high feminine, which actually I feel like you have been in a little bit. We don't want to be too masculine where we're, again, this is taking over, this is being controlling, this is trying to control our surroundings because we don't feel safe. We're trying to make ourselves feel safe. You want to be balanced. You want to be able to nurture, and you want to be able to get things done and be a leader and control things that are within your circle to do so. And that's what I feel with this. You are trying to balance, but I feel like the feminine needs to be more in flow. I don't feel like you are. No, some of you are very highly masculine. Some of the viewers, I feel like, because we have got control. There's a control issue here, and I think that maybe that's the taking on too much, is that you're trying to control something. And again, it could be just that you're not feeling secure. So the self-reflection is, where do I not feel secure? And that's the place to take action. Okay, our last cards, which are the Moonology. Oh, you've actually got a hidden one as well, which is cool. Cool. Okay, your commitment is being tested. I read that upside down. First quarter. Your commitment is being tested. I do feel for some of you, your relationships are a major impact in this whole dynamic. Something about the relationship is just... I feel like, again, you've just been more dominant in it, and that I don't feel it when one person is more dominant within the relationship, it doesn't create joy and fulfillment on either party. Even though sometimes we can often think when a partner is more dominant that they are there, they want to be there and they're proactive, and that's not the case actually. It's just that, again, they're grasping and trying to control something, and it is this, it's a number of things, but it is their way of trying to create security in a situation they don't feel secure, right? And that's not necessarily anything on us, it's just them. And I feel like for you, this relationship dynamic, it can be the fact that that level of control and dominance is just, it could be that side, it could be your side. That's the self-reflection you need to take. But your commitment's being tested in the sense of whether or not you're going to commit and do what you need to do to create the balance in yourself. And that's this major part. That's for the mass of Gemini, but also for those of you in terms of relationship aspect of this that keeps peeking through for me and what I need to guide here. I feel like the commitment of whether or not you are willing to make the changes that need to be changed and implemented in your relationship, whether that is your self-reflection and realizing that you need to change your dynamic, or whether it is, whether you need to communicate with a partner and see if they are going to change their dynamic, because maybe they are the influence that is not taking on their own responsibilities, if they're willing to, or whether you need to move on. And I think that this is the test, because when your commitment's being tested does not mean that you have to stay committed. It could be that you're committed to the wrong thing, so your commitment's being tested on whether or not you're going to stick with what is harmful to you, or whether you're going to make the changes that need to be made. So keep that in mind, Gemini. I do feel like very to and fro, but with this being Gemini energy, I get that that's a natural flow of Gemini. Have faith with in your dreams. This was reversed, so it does want you to know that this is something you need to do, is have faith. Again, realignment with self-reflection. What are your dreams? What are your hopes? And have faith that you can achieve them. This card does say that, you know, you can achieve whatever you set your mind to, right? You can manifest. So have faith that it's possible. Believe in the things that feel impossible, because once you start making the right steps towards goals and dreams, that's when the path starts laying out, because again, you can manifest the energy that you need. And we are working with a very supportive energy at the moment that is self-growth, that is individual grasping and building a legacy right now. Okay, so we have reverse, balance, spirituality and practicality, which definitely is in alignment with what I've been saying. That was in reverse, along with nothing will come of this situation, void, of course, moon. Okay, interesting. I'm going to pick these up so I can see them a little bit clearer, Gemini. So the balance of spirituality and practicality, that makes total sense with everything I'm saying, because I feel like you do need a balance here. And I think that is what I'm sort of visualizing as masculine and feminine, but I think that this really does bring that into a whole here with balancing spirituality with practicality. Practicality, you're trying to get things done, you're trying to tick boxes, and is that nurturing the soul? Is that getting you any closer to your goals and dreams? Possibly not. Possibly it is, but again, there's something missing. The part that's missing is that balance between spirituality and practicality. So keep that in mind. Nothing will come of this situation. I feel like this is saying that this is not a movement thing. This is something that just needs to be changed. It's like changing the formula of baking a cake. You're making a cake, and if you make it a certain way, for example, you've got all the ingredients, you throw it all into a bowl and mix it and bake it, it's still going to be that cake. It's still going to be a butter cake, right? But if you change the formula and do it in order, if you whisk it extra, I don't know, change the type of milk, type of ingredients you use, it's going to be the same cake. The outcome is not different, but it will be different in the way that it is fluffier, or it tastes, the taste, flavor components will just taste uniquely different, because again, of the type of ingredients you used. The outcome is still the same. You still have the cake, but the quality is different. That's what I feel, and I know it says nothing will come of this situation, but that's how I feel and interpret this energy for you. But I do think also, I think you need to be very honest with yourself, and I think that instead of trying to force something, because that's what we're trying to change, not forcing something, trying to come into the femininity a little bit more, not forcing, allowing, flowing, gentle. This is what I want you to focus on, Gemini, is being the more gentle aspect. I would say that nothing's going to come from you trying to force yourself to stay in a situation that's not meant to be, or trying to force it to be the way you want it to be. It's flowing, it's elegant, and I want you to remind yourself of that. And if you have to move, like leave, if you have to get away from situations, a job, anything that again is hindering you, that's what you need to do, because nothing is going to come from that situation. Okay, last card. It is reversed, so again, wants you to know this, wants you to pay attention. Take time to breathe out. And I totally get that for you, Gemini. This does feel like it's kind of an intense energy. I feel like we're getting a lot of intense at the moment. There's a lot of influences worldwide at the moment that can make us feel a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit unsure of what we want to do, where we want to go. And a lot of what we've had and kind of brought out today, it needs a breather. Take a deep breath. You've got it. Again, trust in your dreams. Trust that things are going the way they are. Trust in that you are the formula that you need to achieve whatever it is that you desire to achieve. But take a deep breath and be in the moment. Be present. That's generally what that card means. So thank you, Gemini, for being here. Please follow me. I hope to have weekly readings and monthly readings. I am just getting into the flow of the new year, so be patient with me, but I look forward to sharing this year with you. Thank you, guys.